श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम
Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Today, before we take up a serious issue, we thought we would have a lighter subject. All of us may enjoy it, but how far those things can be translated into our life, it depends upon each and every person. Though it looks to be on a lighter vein, it conveys a lot of deep, sublime, profound thoughts for us to lead a peaceful life, even in times of provocation, in times of stressful experience. At a restaurant, a cockroach suddenly flew from somewhere and sat on a lady. You can all imagine what will happen. She started screaming out of fear. With a panic-stricken face and trembling voice, she started jumping with both her hands desperately, trying to get rid of the cockroach. Her reaction was contagious, as everyone in her group also got panicky. The lady finally managed to push the cockroach away, but it landed on another lady in the group. Now it was the turn of the other lady in the group to continue the drama. The waiter rushed forward to their rescue. In the relay of throwing, the cockroach fell upon the waiter. The waiter stood firm, composed himself, observed the behavior of the cockroach on his shirt. When he was confident enough, he grabbed it with his fingers, threw it out of the restaurant. When you sipping my coffee and watching with amusement, the antenna of my mind picked up a few thoughts and started wondering, was the cockroach responsible for this histrionic behavior? If so, then why was the waiter not disturbed? He handled it near to perfection without any chaos. It is not the cockroach, but the inability of the ladies to handle the disturbance caused by the cockroach that disturbed the ladies. I realized that it is not the shouting of my father or my boss or my wife that disturbs me, but it is my inability to handle the disturbances caused by their shouting that disturbs me. It is not the traffic jams on the road that disturbs me, but my inability to handle the disturbance caused by the traffic jam that disturbs me. More than the problem, it is my reaction to the problem that creates chaos in my life. Lessons learned from this story, I understood. I should not react in life. I should always respond. The women reacted, whereas the waiters responded. Reactions are always instinctive, whereas responses are always well thought of. A beautiful way to understand life. When I become panicky, I can make others also become panicky. Many decades back, there was an incident that happened in Coimbatore. Many decades back. There was a Shirdi Baba temple. One day when the puja was going on, a snake came there. It was moving toward the Vigraha. Some people became panicky, no doubt, but most of the people, they thought, it is Baba coming in the form. It was there, it did not disturb anybody. If we remember right, it went up to the feet of Baba. Then everybody started telling Nagasai. After some time, it quietly went away. The whole, when everybody started feeling Nagasai, the fear concept was not. Previously, the snake coming here, definitely everybody will become panicky. So here he says, it is instinctive and impulsively we react. Okay, it has come. We cannot go along with it, no doubt about it. But it has got its own way. There are ways by which it can be slowly, its direction can be changed. We handle it fully. And he wants us to stretch this to every labeled disturbance. So it is not the outer thing that disturbs, though apparently it looks as if it is disturbing us. It is our inability, beautiful word, inability to handle. It is not the shouting of my father or my boss or my wife that disturbs me, but it is my inability to handle the disturbances caused by their shouting that disturbs me. It is not the traffic jams on the road that disturbs me, but my inability to handle the disturbance caused by the traffic jam that disturbs me. More than the problem, it is my reaction to the problem that creates chaos in my life. Lessons I learned, I should not react in life. I should always respond to the situation. The women reacted, whereas the waiter responded. Reactions are always instinctive, whereas responses are always well thought out. A beautiful way to understand life. These are all spirituality in workaday life. It is not an anecdote to simply hear and go. If this gets imprinted in our heart, it will have its own impact. 100% may not be there. Some impact, some cushioning, some insulation will be there. In every profession also, we can bring in this spirituality. Spirituality means humaneness. Let us not think immediately about the religious rituals, ceremonies, or even our tapasya. No. Rather the humaneness, the touch of humane, to become humane. We feel for the other, the quality, care and concern for others. Here is another anecdote, very, very interesting, very touching anecdote. An Indonesian judge was sitting in judgment of an old lady who pleaded guilty of stealing some tapioca from a plantation. In her defense, the old lady admitted to the judge that she was indeed guilty of the crime because she was poor and her son was sick while her grandchild was hungry. The plantation manager insisted that she be punished as a deterrent to others. The judge, going through the documents, then looked up and said to the old lady, "I am sorry, but I cannot make any exception to the law. You must be punished accordingly." The old lady was fined $100, and if she could not pay the fine then, she would be jailed for 2.5 years, as demanded by the law. She wept as she could not pay the fine. The judge then took her hat and put in $100 into the hat and said, "In the name of justice, I fine all present in the court $5 each as dwellers of the city for letting a child starve until her grandmother is compelled to steal to feed her grandchild. The registrar will now collect the fine from all present." The court managed to collect $350, including the fine collected from the plantation manager, whereby the fine was paid off and the rest was given to the old lady. The episode of deep compassion for the other person sprang from the feelings of kindness from within the heart. How one's perspective and understanding changes when thoughts of kindness pervade the mind is clearly seen in this example. Recently, I won't say recently, probably a year back, almost a similar incident happened in Paragara, near Calicut. The judge had to put a fine because it was an offense. He knew well that she cannot pay, here the accused cannot pay. After that, he paid from his own. He paid from his own pocket and then said, forget about it. Hereafter, don't do it. That means the law has to take its own course. But at the same time, it touches and kindles the humaneness. A circumstance which has forced or compelled the person. So the judge has to go by the law. But the judge is also a human being, you know. So from the human being level, he was able to bring it out. From the judge's level, he had to do his dharma. Same thing. So these are all, we understand when we chant Ram Nam, it is to make our heart more and more gentle, more and more soft, more and more thinking of others, me to be, me to be. That is why on the 15th May 1931, when this ashram was opened, Papa made it very clear. The ideal of the ashram is universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity in everybody. It is not social service. The absence of otherness has to be developed. We forgot about it. We were just carrying on with some discipline, that's all. But actually they wanted, and you can see that, Mataji and later on the Swamiji, we could see in their lives how it was explicit in their dealings. This should not be not just reading, reading for reading's sake. We are trying to connect up. My Ramnam should enable me to make this. My Ramnam should enable me to identify myself with as many of his creation as possible. Not only human beings, not only plants and trees, not only birds and animals, even inert and insentient matters. There should be a gentle touch, a touch of dedication, a touch of reverence, a touch of perfection. We pray to him. This is the purpose for which you are making me to chant, but somehow I forget about it. I religiously chant, but I don't know how far it is percolating in my mind when you make me to handle with men and matters. Here we find in these two examples, the men and matters. When it comes there, this becomes more and more clearer and clearer. It's a simple word Papa puts it. Outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. Compatibility should be there. It should go along with that. One question, yes. Adversity brings suffering. This is the lot for everybody. Some say suffering is useless. Others say it is through suffering we can understand rightly and progress along the path, and ultimately know the immortality who is far beyond pleasure and pain. Is suffering a fire that purifies our being? All of us are subjected to some kind of suffering. So the answer, let us try to go to the answer. Pain precedes deliverance. All mothers can understand this better. Apparently it is suffering, but what a joy she gets. For anything and everything, if we closely watch, when you study hard, you have to forego, you have to sacrifice so many things, then only you will gain something. So suffering precedes joy. But it's a state of mind whether you treat it as a suffering or as a process. If you take it as a process, you will not feel the intensity of it. Those who don't have this background may feel that suffering is unbearable. But suffering or stress helps in locating the potentiality in us. We then come out with an alternative. It helps us in so many ways. When we go through the biographies of all evolved people, we find that majority of them suffered, and the suffering was instrumental in their getting a final answer for their lives. We know how Vittal Rao became Swami Ramdas. Intense suffering. We all know a mother of 2 children, how she became the Mataji. When she lost her husband at a very young age, a very loving husband, who said, "You don't go now." And she was prompted to leave him and come all the way from Bombay by boat to Dharwad or somewhere. He fell sick and he died. In the case of Pujya Swamiji, he himself has written that he was passing through terrible stress and depression, not because of any outer reason, but because he was unable to get an answer to many of the questions about what is life, what is the aim of life, what is the purpose of life, why should I live? Tormenting questions. And when he could not find answers, he also tried to drop his body. Suffering. But then in the life of these three, we can definitely find how the process, how the evolution was triggered. So whenever we are made to go through the suffering, we should know that it's a process. Though we may not be able to completely get over the pangs of the sufferings, the pain, because of the suffering, to some extent we will find we can bear. And we will know, and we will pray, give us more strength to bear this or the other. So suffering precedes joy, but it's a state of mind whether you treat it as a suffering or as a process. We have been told that suffering is a blessing. A sculptor wants to bring out a beautiful figure from the rock. What he does is, with a chisel, he goes on striking the rock until the unwanted portion of the rock are removed. It causes injury to the rock, but ultimately a beautiful figure is the result of it, which serves as a source of perennial inspiration to a number of people over many, many years. But to bring it to that state, the rock has to subject itself to untold suffering. The sculpture is no more there, When ultimately the rock only remains there. So nobody can avoid suffering. The only thing is, if we take it as a process, then the impact is less. We should try to understand that suffering is a process of purification. Suppose there is some dirt in the pipe and it is blocking the water flow. You have to necessarily put another rod to push the dirt out. Then only there will be a free flow of water. Apparently it may look to be an act which may cause some disturbance to the dirt inside. So let us not give too much of importance to the word suffering. Let us try to use the word process. Process is painful. No doubt about it. It is not a cakewalk. So suppose we start philosophizing and try to understand that what is happening is only a process and the ultimate outcome of the process is good, then the impact will be less even while undergoing the so-called suffering. It appears to be a tall order, but still, something for all of us to deeply ponder over. After scaling the heights, people can come to this conclusion. Before scaling the heights, we will treat suffering as suffering only. Suffering as painful. When we go through with this idea, the inquest of God, we find Papa never felt anything as a suffering. So that means when the God dimension should take place, otherwise, it will be difficult. So again, when we chant Ramnam, all these things should be there in our mind. Ramnam chanting should enable us to give us this, what you call, shock absorbing capacity. It is not merely chanting during the chanting time. It should be reflected in all our reactions, responses. Then we are not localizing the chanting to a particular time or place, or a bhajan to a particular place, or a svadhyaya, or a satsang to a particular place, to a particular person. It is percolating, and it will be reflected slowly in all our thought words. So we pray to Him now. We were enjoying when we do the chanting. But whether it is having this impact on all my activities, I am not sure about it. There the me and mind comes and definitely makes me tense, makes me stressful. I give so many labels, bad, adverse, negative, harmful, unfavorable. Like that, I put label on it. Please enable me to do that. Through Ramnam chanting, the process of purification took place. Previously, when we were told by all Mahatmas that this is for purification, we did not understand what is the purification. Literally, we knew what is purification, but experientially, we did not know what is purification. Now we have touched and kindled this aspect. It should be reflected in all my activities, in the sense that me and mind, that is the disturbance, whether it is getting erased. So overall, it is not limited to one particular thing. My whole thing should be purified. Please help me. When I chant Ramnam with all faith and devotion, kindly enable me to get rid of this me and mind. In your book, in second chapter, you clearly mention this. Ultimately, it is the me and mind that is the problem. So, Papa prays, What does he pray? Remove the I-ness from me. We had read many a time. We never knew that was the biggest hurdle all of us are facing. So he was meditating on Ram and chanting the name of Ram to get rid of this obsession. You got the impression. Second chapter, you kindly go through that. Specifically, he identifies. Second chapter. O Ram, when thy slave finds thee at once so powerful and so loving, and that he who trusts thee can be sure of peace and happiness, why should he not throw himself entirely on thy mercy, which can only be possible? This is we have underlined. By giving up everything he called mine. Thou art all in all to thy slave. Thou art the sole protector in the world. Men are deluded when they declare, I do this, I do that, this is mine, that is mine. All, O Ram, is thine. All things are done by thee alone. Thy slave's one prayer to thee is to take him under thy complete guidance and remove his I-ness. This is called purification. We were reading it. We did not pay much attention. Because even if I try, intellectually, the I-ness will not go from me. Because I have got a body and somebody calls me by name, I just look at them. So naturally, I am there. And here my Guru says, I should not be there. It is not possible. And all appendages along with this I, they also travel with me. Now, purification, it is not by, here, so many examples you have given. I cannot get rid of the I, however much I try. But I can try one thing. I can bring into my mind the care and concern of as many for your creation. Because so long as I have got a body, so long as I am identified as so and so, this I-ness will be there. That's a practical thing. But now it is limited to me and mine. But when I try to identify, when I try to expand the love circle, by bringing in the care and concern of as many of his creation as possible in my mind, the intensity or the supremacy of the power of the me and mine gets reduced. The space allotted for me and mine gets reduced in my mind. Because the care and concern of as many of people. That is why we say with a touch of love, with a touch of reverence, with a touch of dedication, with a touch of gentleness, with a touch of softness, with a touch of perfection. If these things come to me when I handle men and matters, I may be able to reduce the supremacy of the me and mine. Or in other words, as we have heard from the late masters, it will be a purified ego. How? Because the moment when we hear this, we may all feel that I have to get rid of this me. It is not possible. Simply it is not possible. So long as we have got a body, it is not possible. I would like to identify myself, so many things. Suddenly somebody calls me, Muktananda. Immediately I am back to myself. Muktananda is not here. He is only here. So we will try to find out a practical method by which the dominance of the me and mine is reduced. That's all. Only by bringing in the quality, care and concern of as many of my co-creations. And while chanting Ramnam, suppose I bring this idea, then Ramnam will not be limited to that particular time or place. I will not shout, I will not lose my temper, I will not make a big fuss of a small matter. Slowly we try. Just like what we saw in the question of the cockroach. So today Papa chose to ultimately bring, by giving these 2 or 3 anecdotes, that outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. And how can it be compatible? How can it be made compatible? By reducing the dominance of me and mine. To whatever extent, even if it's 5%, 10%, 25%, yeah. Every one of us has to do some deep thinking. There is no general prescription. We have to evolve because each one is placed in different types of circumstances, situations. And the mind has got a habit of putting that label. So to get over that is the toughest job, no doubt. But now Papa makes us to think about it. These are the things which will make you to move forward. The 4 steps. Feeling is nearness, then is presence, then in everybody, and to become one day. samipyam, sanityam, vyapanam, ekatvam. I should feel the nearness, I will be able to feel the nearness when the dominance of me and mine is less and less. When it stretches to a wider level, I will feel it. Then I start feeling it. I will not be able to do anything that will harm to any creation. As much as possible, we will be alert, vigilant. Yes. Then we will again know nothing is unimportant, nothing is irrelevant, nothing is insignificant. Then finally, we have been assured we will become one with Him and continue to remain as an individual. As long as the body stays. So that wider identification with a wider dimension will get stabilized enough. So for all basic requirement, the I is there, but for all practical purposes, the I is not there. I feel that when I feel hungry, I eat. When I feel thirsty, I drink. When I feel sleepy, I sleep. When I feel I must have a bath. When I feel I have to go to the toilet, all these things will be there, so long as we have got the body. Bodily functions we will not be able to change. But a higher dimension will take over. And that will give us a release from the supremacy of this me and mind. Always we try to put the care and concern of others. Periodically, suppose we go through the biographies of all, not only masters, anybody who has scaled the heights. Need not necessarily be in a particular form of sannyas or something like that. Anyway. Observations. Plenty of people. Our teachers, our parents, our teachers, our students, our bosses, our subordinates, our colleagues, our customers. So many can teach us, There are many. To reduce the supremacy of God. So we pray to Papa. You have opened up again out of your mercy for us. You first fed us with all theories. And you made us to feel we are unable to translate it into our very life. Then you gave us the Nama. You made us to slowly start enjoying the Nama. Some changes are slowly taking place even without my knowledge. But still, when there are challenges, I feel I am my old self. So now you start giving us one by one, how to make the Ramnam more and more effective in reducing the supremacy of me and mine. Please enable us to get stabilized in it. Please enable us to stretch this to all our thoughts, words and deeds, so that we become eligible. Just like the students are asked to write the entrance exam, we also become eligible to call ourselves as your devotees. Reducing the dominance of me and mine. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om. जय राम, जय जय राम ओम, श्री राम जय राम, जय जय राम ओम। श्री राम, जय राम, जय जय राम ओम, श्री राम, जय राम, जय जय राम ओम। श्री राम, जय राम, जय जय राम। हरि ओम, हरि ओम।